Hey everybody, welcome to this week's delayed but still on time, but it's not really on time, but we're here anyway, episode of South of King's Landing. Just two of us this week, myself and Ashley, to talk about this week's episode of Game of Thrones. I've been sick most of the week, everyone else doesn't have an excuse, so...
Yeah, pretty much.
It's fine. You can't really, but nonetheless, we're here to talk about everything happening in King's Landing and around... It's funny because usually you could be like, oh, what's happening across the water where Dany is, but this season everybody's
in Westeros.
Everyone's in Westeros, so it's a good old time where everyone's kind of just together, which is different and all that sort of stuff. So if you haven't watched South of King's Landing before, it's an after show for Game of Thrones we do here on the Explosion Network. We're going to go through what happens in the episode, just bit by bit, what happens, give our thoughts and opinions on each scene kind of as we go, and just talk about the episode in a big spoilerific manner. It's an after show for Game of Thrones, so you got to watch it first. And if you've never watched Game of Thrones, I don't know why you'd be watching it. That would be really weird. Let's jump straight into the episode. It opens. The first scene is with Dany. She is pretty much where we left her at the end of the last episode, I suppose.
Almost exactly right after. It felt
basically, like. except for a couple of people seem to have shown up. You've got the Greyjoy, the sister, whatever her name is.
Yura, something like that.
Yura, and you've got the Sand Sisters and
Yara,
and the Yara. That sounds better. Yara and the Sand Sisters and like the mama, whatever her name is, Queen
Lady Tyrell.
Lady Tyrell.
We need to get like a list of names. That'd be a good idea.
We do. I mean, I could look this all up ahead, but. That's not the kind of show this is.
No,
this is
that's not what the people expect.
This is the kind of conversation people have in their lounge rooms after watching the show. And this is the kind of show we're aiming for. Not a professional one. It's fine. So, and they're all sitting around. They have this whole talk, more or less, and everyone's kind of telling her to go straight to King's Landing, like, just fucking barge down the gates and... kill everyone more or less and just destroy the city, do what you need to do. And she, by having been swayed by Tyrion, more or less, is like, no. And she even like quotes him, and he gives her like a little bit of a look of acknowledgement. She like rips one of his quotes straight out. But she's like, no, we don't want to destroy the city, like, because I want to rule it one day, not like rule
She's
nothing.
not here to be the Queen of the Ashes.
That's the exact quote that she uses back, which is good. And eventually the plan is more or less formed. Like, we'll just go and we'll sit there outside the gates. Like, hey, we got spears and dragons. Like, you better get out of the castle, or else, they're going to siege them instead of taking them all down. And other than that, the other big moment they have is. Probably the bigger moment is Dany just taking on... Fuck, what's his name? Varys, yes. Yep. Just taking on Varys. I was about to say no dick, but thought I'd just
have to narrow it down.
Narrow it down.
I'd say this was a mixed night for eunuchs.
It was a very mixed night. This one just gets told, more or less, and she's like, listen, mate, you fucking like... basically says what the viewer's been thinking for the entirety of the show, which is that you're a little flippy floppy motherfucker that's just like changing sides whenever you please. Why did you suddenly end up on her side? Like, that was one thing I never really understood either. It was like, he was just over here, and then he's like, oh, I might be over here, and then all of a sudden he's like, nah, fuck it, I'm getting on a boat and I'm just flying all the way out to see Dany, like, which was a very big move for that character, because he was very much like...
He was set in
to stay in his safe place and just chill and see what happens. So I was like, why did you do all that? And she's just like, why? You're a big flipper flopper motherfucker.
Yeah.
Why did you do all this? And he's just like, love you, babe. I'll serve you forever. And she says, if you ever betray me, I'll fucking burn you alive. Which is pretty straight to the point, I guess. Like, you can't really fuck around with that.
It was a good scene.
Yeah, and the other good thing was Jon Snow's finally mentioned, because after this, the Red Queen shows up, whatever her name, Melisandre.
Didn't expect her to show up.
Did not expect her to show up. This was actually one of the... I thought she was going to be gone for most of the season, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I thought she'd show up randomly with, like, a bunch of other characters. Like, the next time we saw her, she would be in a different group, like with the Men Without Banners or whatever, the Brotherhood Without Banners or whatever. Something like that I thought should show up. But no, she just... So she's gone straight from the north and just rode straight to the south,
Dragonstone,
east,
south.
or wherever the hell they are, and somehow perfectly arrived, basically, in the time she got kicked out of... perfect timing from getting kicked out of the north to arriving there, basically a couple hours after Dany's arrived, it seems.
Yeah.
Unless she'd been, like, camped out there and just, like, kind of like... Oh, here comes the boats.
Maybe she decided to take Dragonstone after Stannis left it. And she's like, oh, these people showed up before I could take over.
Possibly,
yeah.
But...
I left my stuff there.
And she comes to Dany with the prophecy kind of thing that everyone fanboys over online, which is more or less that Dany and Jon are... the two parts, possibly brother, sister, relative, possibly part of some big saving grace that they're going to ride a dragon each and, like, fucking fuck shit up.
Yep.
It's like, that's the big online fan theory that everyone kind of wants. Jon Snow, Dany riding fucking dragons toward it together. And of course there's also the theory that Tyrion will be riding a third one, but that's when people start going into all sorts of weird territory.
Let's be realistic here.
Yeah, let's be slightly...
With all the dragons. Yeah, let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Keep it grounded.
I quite like the scene with Jon, though. It's probably one of my favorite... The scene where they're talking about him is probably one of my favorite scenes in the episode, simply because it was really nice to finally hear these characters, like, talk about Jon Snow, and they talk about him in a, like he's a legendary kind of, especially the way that Tyrion talks about him. And Tyrion doesn't talk shit about Jon Snow, which was really good. Like, Tyrion more or less talks him up and says, like, Jon Snow is the shit. Jon Snow is, like, a good dude. He's really nice. He was, like, commander of the Wall, all sorts of things, all this sort of stuff. And it's really good to hear him say all that. Of course, Dany's kind of like... time to go bend the knee. Like, she's... doesn't... I'm sure he's a nice guy, but come here and bend the knee still.
Yeah. Melisandre conveniently left out that she brought him back from the dead.
Yes.
Like, that would be an interesting fact to drop in, I think, but...
I wonder what... Well, I mean, saying that to someone who's basically survived death...
Yeah.
Hasn't been brought back to life, but basically just survived near-death situations like being burned alive... I wonder what that would do to such a one as Dany. Should just be like, big deal. I've got dragons. Like, I basically hatched these dragons while I was burning to death. So, no biggie, lady. I like how she knows all about... One thing I like about Dany, too, is that she's, like, open to all the religions and stuff, and she kind of just...
Yeah.
She's never like, yours is bullshit, this one's the good one, this one's the shit one, yours is the crap one. As soon as she starts talking, she's just kind of like, well, your God believes this, doesn't it? Your God believes. And in your prophecy, blah, 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 you believe. But then she says the prophecy's like the man or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they correct it to mean that, like, it's
a unisex reference, yeah.
Unisexual, but yeah, they can't be, like, translated correctly, I suppose, or something like that. So that's how we open up the show. Then we go to the north, which is basically just a scene of Jon considering this proposition.
This Raven got there very fast.
Yeah, no, I think that this is one thing I've kind of come to accept for this season, is that it is kind of...
Time's fluid.
There is a lot of time jumps for... And it's not like, 15 minutes later, this is happening.
Yeah.
It's like... There's lots of stuff where... It's even like with the Cersei scenes, it's like, she sends Jon the letter. That gets there in what seems like 10 minutes, but for all we know, it could have been a week, a month.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And it's not hard to believe that a lot of these characters are just sitting around, just going around their duties, doing fuck all for like weeks on end or months on end. Because that's the world they live in. Like, stuff doesn't happen instantaneously like it does in our world now with phone calls and texts and the internet and stuff like that. They'd be more accepting of I get a death threat on Twitter. Oh, shit. That guy could come to my house now. It's like, I get a death threat from Cersei.
Yeah. Oh, she could take a while.
Bitch could take 6 years to get here, though.
No, I like to imagine these really fast ravens flying around, like, really high.
I would love... Big twist towards the end of this season is they show a raven that just flies up and then just opens this black hole in the sky, like, pops out between different areas.
Yeah, they're just teleporting. That'd be awesome.
They're just teleporting little birdies all across the place. So yeah, John's basically considers her proposition. Everyone tells him to, no, that's a bad idea. Don't go see her. He quickly changes his mind after he receives Sam's letter afterwards.
That came last week.
Yeah, that was sent from like here to here, and it came. Yeah, so I was fucking things.
Sam can't afford the fast ravens.
Over in King's Landing, Cersei's talking shit on basically everyone.
Yeah.
Continuing what she was doing in the first episode, I suppose. She's trying to grow an army to take to Dany straight away. So while Dany's having her conversation about if they'll just take King's Landing, Cersei's like more or less saying we're just going to fucking fight her wherever and however we can. She's trying to get Lord Tarly to join on with her.
Yeah.
But he's basically saying, nah, not doing that, not going to happen.
Yeah, so she's trying to get the Tyrell loyalists to defect, is pretty much what she was doing in that scene. So.
Yeah. But it's not going so well because...
No, because she's Cersei.
Because, well, she sounds like a crazy person because she is a fucking crazy person.
Yeah.
Every scene with her, I'm just like, we were watching, like, we never got to see the Mad King on the show. We heard him talked about, obviously. They talk about the Mad King all the time, who Jaime killed him, all this sort of thing. It's like we're watching a different version of the Mad King now, slowly kind of happen. Like, she's just getting worse and worse, I feel. And I feel like by the time, she'll die eventually.
Yeah. Still you see Jaime during the scenes, he's like, what the fuck are you doing? In the background,
I still feel like Jaime might be the one to kill her, and that would be like a very good poetic kind of end to this whole situation. But it's just like she's nuts. I don't know how anyone's like not like, you aren't nuts at this stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's just like, we'll fight everyone. Jaime once again is kind of like, you know, we can't just fight everyone. No. And she's like a little kid. It's like when I was a little kid and I was like, Mum, can I have this fucking like Game Boy and 10 games? And she's like, no, we don't have the money. And I was like, well, just fucking buy it, would you? Like, she just sounds like a little kid. Like, Jamie's like, we don't have the food, the men, the blah, blah, blah. She's just like, just fucking fight people, would you? Like, just go out there. Don't give them food. They just fight. Just fucking do wars and shit. Isn't that what you do? But Jaime like talks to Lord Tarly, and they by the end of their conversation, it kind of looks like he's swaying on swaying on his opinion of joining them or not.
Yeah.
A bit. So back in Sandtown, I can never remember where he is. He's at the
Old Town, I think it's what it's called.
Is it? I just call it the fucking library or something. Like, I just call it the big ass cathedral library or whatever it is.
That place.
The place of monks, wherever it is. If they tried to tease out in the first episode if that was Jorah or not, which it did seem like they was trying to like not fully give it away because they only showed his arm, half a shadow of his face and his voice, which to me I was like, oh, they're just going to kind of tease that out for an episode or so and then reveal it to be Jorah. And then they cut straight to him in this episode, like, hey, it's Jorah. There he is.
Yep.
He's just there.
Got straight to the point.
Got straight to the fucking point. I was like, okay, that's a bit weird, but so he's fucked, and one of the other monk dudes is experimenting or whatever, like tests on him, and basically says you got to us too late, spread too fast, you're up shit creek, you're gonna have to be sent off to go live with the rock people and live out the rest of your time with them. But as sleuthful internet people had figured out after the first episode that I read between the first episode and the second episode, when Sam was looking through that book of magical things he was looking for in the first episode, fans noticed that there was, on the page he was reading about the Dragonstone. Is that what it's called? Dragonstone?
Dragonglass.
Dragonglass. On the page he was reading about the Dragonglass, on the page next to it, there was like a thing about curing stone.
How convenient.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool that it's there. And like, of course, people on Reddit figure it out. And then you like read about it, and then there's all these news articles, and this all happens in like a span of a week. It always feels like it takes for so long between episodes. It's like you're reading all these articles that people are like, "Oh, look at this secret thing hidden in the episode. Look at this secret thing hidden in the episode," and then it's like the next episode starts. And it's like, "Oh, that's actually like a thing." It wasn't like some weird
crazy, yes.
Yeah, like people didn't go full crazy. It was like an actual thing, because Sam more or less looks to be like, no, I'm going to save you, Jorah. And we get to that in a little bit. Back in King's Landing, they have, to just put it lightly, they have a giant fuck-off spear gun.
Pulls out this massive ballista, I think.
Yeah, ballista type weapon, yeah. It looks like some fucked up shit out of Age of Empires.
Yeah. I will say, it looks pretty effective. It can fire that quick, but I don't think the dragon's going to be that close in the end, I don't think. So I don't know how.
No, unless like part of their plans to
lure it with like a massive apple. Somehow? No, like a massive steak or something.
Off carrot or something. Like, I don't know. Big ass cow. I don't know what draws in. Not really sure what draws
Small
in.
Small child.
Wow.
Too soon.
Take it to that. Take it to that level. Dear God. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It was a few seasons ago.
You went there, not me.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
But my only problem with this fucking plan, the person that's shooting it, if they miss, she's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And if you miss, it looks like it's going to take about 20 million years to reload.
And there's 3 of the dragons.
Yeah, and there's 3 dragons. So you've got 1 spear to kill 1 dragon, unless you make up 3 of these guns, at which point you have 3 spear shooting guns, and you have 1 shot each to perfectly hit them through the head. I mean, you could hit them in the wing. They might go down. They're not going to die, though. So you need to hit them all through the fucking head.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to have these weapons. However, I don't feel like it was this big, nice, they've
got the upper hand.
Yeah, it's like this is the best thing ever. You know what I was thinking?
Mm-hmm.
When I was walking down, so her and Dr. Frankenstein,
yeah, pretty much,
are walking down into this little dungeon to show off this spear gun. Cersei, come with me. And then my mind on it, I thought the show was about to go really fucked up, because I thought he was about to be like, look, here's this dragon of this ancient dragon that's so fucking killed. It's down here. I'm going to reanimate that shit. And we're going to have our own dragon.
Skeleton dragon.
Because...
that would have been cool.
Because what's his fuck's a fucking...
crazy person.
Zombie, basically.
Yeah. But he had tissue to bring him back to life with.
I mean, the show still hasn't really gone into that at all, really. No. I mean, we basically all know he's a zombie.
Yeah.
He's Frankenstein's monster. But they still haven't really delved into or talked about it or anything like that. And it's not that I feel like they need to, but at the same time, having that information in the back of my head, I was like, is this motherfucker about to try and bring fucking dragons back to life? Because that'd be fucking something. One of the most talked about scenes this episode would be the sex scene between
Grey Worm and
Miss I can't remember the girl's name though.
Miss Sandy?
Something like that. Something like...
the girl from Fast and Furious.
Spot on, Bevan.
Yes.
The girl from Fast and Furious is what I would be calling her as well.
Yeah.
So Grey Worm have this sex scene that when it was starting out, I was like, this is going to be a bit weird.
Yeah.
Like a bit of an awkward sex scene. I mean, it is a bit of an awkward sex scene. However, he finally makes a move on the girl, who we've all known he's had the hots for quite some time now. He's perving her across from lakes at one point as she was like bathing. all sorts of stuff. Grey Worm, make your move, I've been saying for seasons, you know, like, doesn't matter. You're not slave anymore. Just make the move. You're basically equals. And he finally makes the move this episode, and I was like, go, champ. Good on you. Good on you for getting in there. And then the sex scene was... I thought it was just going to turn into your typical kind of Game of Thrones, like, sex scene. But they did something good with it, which was it was more of a...
More intimate.
Emotional, intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a much more emotional scene than what they did. And they dealt with the whole... His deal missing and bits. All this sort of thing. And once again, kind of proving by the end of it that, you know, it's not what you have, guys. It's what you can...
How you use it.
How you use it. And, you know, that was my big takeaway.
That's an important message to get out there.
That was... that was my big takeaway from it. I was like, this is a very sweet scene. Quite enjoyed it. And then, you know, a good message for everyone. Yeah. Doesn't matter what you have, just how you can use it everywhere. It's like message of the day, man, or something like that. So, beautiful scene.
Yep.
We cut back to Monktown for the most fucked up scene of the episode, which anyone who was eating while watching this episode, which I was having my fucking brunch, sitting there, eating some fucking... I don't know what I was eating at the time, but I was having a cup of tea and something similar to now, except for I had food. And guys, that was fucking disgusting, Sam,
fucking Sam.
Here, look, Mr. Jorah, fucking stick this in your mouth, bite down. I'm just gonna
cut your skin.
Just gonna cut a little tiny bit off. Whacks it in there, like, fucking chisels the whole motherfucking thing out, like, rips it off. It's all, like, all slimy and fucked up.
You're just having so much trouble cutting it as well.
And I was just like, yeah, it's
could have gotten a sharper knife.
It reminded me of, did you ever watch Chopper, like the Eric Bana movie?
No, I haven't.
There's that scene in that where they're cutting off Chopper's ears. Chopper's like, cut my ears off, and the guy like starts going into him like really slow, just like soaring at him. He's like, oh, fucking just rip into him, mate. Just fucking get him off. I was like, this is what Sam was like. He's like, just trying to be all careful. It's just like, can you just fucking...
Get the fucking thing off?
Just hit it. Slice that motherfucker. Just
and then
get it over with.
He's telling Jorah to be quiet. I mean, have some bedside manner. God.
Yeah, Jorah's just like, he's like, just shut the fuck up. Like, this doesn't hurt at all. Stop being a sook. It's like, oh my God. Can you... so then Arya...
I've got to say, on point transition. It was like the oozing stuff. And
straight to the
pie.
Yeah.
They're doing excellent editing this season so far. After last week with the shit in the soup.
Oh, yes, the shit, yeah.
Yeah.
That was...
They're having some fun.
Fucking disgusting. two episodes with two disgusting scenes so far. It's just like... And they're all Sam's fault too. Fucker.
Fucking Sam.
So Arya's now just kind of just going around doing whatever she wants, more or less. You know, she's just sitting down, eating some pie. Fucking... What's his... Did I write
Hot pie.
Pot Pie walks up. He's like taking these pies to... I don't know.
I don't know if she was taking it to her or somebody else.
He was taking them to someone else. He walks by, taking these pies to some other lovely patron, I'm sure. She's like, oh, hi, Pot Pie. How are you? He's like, oh, yeah, pretty good. Just grabs a fucking pie. Like, nom nom. Thanks very much, mate. I was like, Arya... I mean, she is kind of like a badass these days. I get it. She just kind of walks around doing whatever the hell she wants something. I get it. But, I mean... Do you really want your big giveaway to be because you stole someone else's fucking pie? Like, just calm down a little bit. Pretty good scene, especially because we found out after this episode that the actor playing him opened up a fucking like bakery shop or some shop, and what's he like is baking like Jon Snow themed somethings like somethings or something like this.
Yeah, something.
But this story dropped like the day after the episode, and it was like just one of those funnier tie-in all into the thing. It just made the whole scene even better.
Yeah.
And it's always funny, like, because I was beginning to think, I'm like, why doesn't how has no one told Arya, or how has Arya not heard yet, not once in all her travels up towards the Northern, about Jon Snow being King of the North? You'd think someone would have been like just even overheard in a bar or something, you know, like Jon, King of the North.
Why didn't Ed Sheeran tell her last week?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you'd think someone would have said something, but... And it looks like she's turning around after all this.
Was heading for King's Landing, now going to Winterfell.
Now she's heading back to Winterfell, which means the first 2 episodes, annoyingly, has just been her kind of doing a bunch of zigzagging. Kind of just being like, where the fuck am I going? I'm going over here. So, back in the North, after Arya decides to finally come up, Jon's now just like, I'm just going to fucking leave. Good job, everyone. I'm going to go see Dany. And of course, everyone in the show is kind of like, that's a stupid idea. But fans watching at home are like, yes, we finally get to see the 2 of them in the same room together, which is something everyone's been wanting forever. So of course everyone's happy, but all his people are not quite happy because of that. I mean, it makes sense. It is a bit of a dumb move. He literally has either been spending a couple days, if you track the timeline of the show, or if we're going to account for birds not having time traveling wings, then he's probably being up there for, you know, max of a couple months, I suppose, or something like that. Not that long. And I think everyone starts freaking out because they just think he's going to leave the place
and die.
Leave the place, die, and just be like, the commander's going to leave. But he does the right thing and says that Sansa's Queen of the North, basically.
Why did he tell her before the meeting?
Yeah, I know, because they kind of shut everyone up. They all argue for like a minute. Everyone in the room's just like, blah, blah, blah. Sansa's like, blah, blah, blah. Jon's like, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as he's like, but I'm leaving my sister in charge, Queen of the North, you'll do good. Don't fuck up. I trust you. Her and everyone else is kind of like,
okay.
All right then, like, all right, fair enough.
It'll shut up pretty quick.
So, probably would have been smarter to do that first, Jon. However, that would have been like 2 minutes less of bickering for the television show. So
yeah, I guess
I suppose
you
that
need
was
the bickering.
They needed the bickering just for the show, I feel like. So Jon leaves, which means that we're only probably going to get, unless Arya gets distracted or something goes wrong for Sansa, we should be getting our sister reunion within an episode or 2, I suppose, hopefully. Which will be good, but it's still a little bit annoying that we never actually got, and I presume we'll never actually get a full, like, what's left of the Starks reunion, because I feel like that's the last time we'll see Jon Snow up.
Really?
Up
you think
Winterfell. So? Do you reckon he's coming back?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, he might head straight from Gravenstone to wherever the White Walkers
I feel like
are.
I feel like he's going to go, like, now that I can see, like, he's where he's going in episode 3. I just feel like he must episode 3 there, get the Dragonstone, get to work on it, and then I see him moving straight from there down to where we saw the vision of the White Walkers crossing in the at the end of the wall. So I just don't see there ever being time for him to come
back to Winterfell.
All the way back to Winterfell ever. And I mean, it's not even like a thing of, I mean, I still, even if he does or does not die, I just don't see him coming back to Winterfell in the show's season at least, or so. And I mean, I feel like he's going to die eventually, so sorry everyone. This time he'll stay dead. They'll be fine. Arya runs into, what's her fucking wolf's name?
Nymeria?
But she runs into her wolf. Now,
that was a weird scene.
Quite a big wolf. Is a weird scene. I felt like it was a really weird scene at first, until afterwards the internet helped me understand the scene, and then I rewatched the scene because it's only like a minute.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, completely different take on the scene if you have the right information, and stuff like that, and it's a lot more of an emotional punch to it. However, the information you need to properly understand this scene is a line from season 1. So, unless you're binging all seasons before starting every new season of Game of Thrones, you probably can't remember the fucking line. Because the wolf shows up. She's like, hey, you're my dire wolf. Let's all be friends again. You and your pack, come chill at fucking Winterfell. I'm heading home finally. Come be with me. And so the wolf stops growling, backs away, and just walks off. And then Arya says the line of, that's not you anymore, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like the line she says.
It's not her.
Which,
or something.
That's not her. Something like that. Which, I mean, to me, and I believe most people, like you as well, you're saying, weird scene, because that's it. Cuts away. You're like, was that actually her wolf? Or was that like a different wolf? Or like, why the fuck did she say that? But the line is from season 1 when her daddy is talking to her in King's Landing. And he says to her, good old Ned Stark's like, one day you'll marry a prince, have a, family, blah, 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 live in a castle, you'll be a great princess. And she, like, turns to him and says, but that's not me, daddy, or something like that.
Yeah.
To basically mean that, like, that's not the person or the life she wants to meet. So it was her wolf. However, it's not the wolf that she knew from years and years ago. Her wolf has now gone on, started its own pack, all this sort of stuff, meets her, recognizes her, more or less, says, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm not coming with you either because, you're not my life anymore. I've got a life without you, and kind of just moves on. So that's basically what that scene represents, is like her changing of paths, like the wolf's changing of paths, all sorts of things. However, it is a really weird scene because without the knowing what that line was and its connection to something from fucking season 1, it is like a really weird scene. So.
Why did you need it at all? That would be my question.
I don't really know. I suppose
unless it's going to play back foreshadowing.
I feel like the wolf might come back into it at some stage, possibly. Like, it may come in and save her.
It has to.
Like maybe, I feel like if they want to do the whole, it's not with her anymore, but maybe it, hangs around and, watches her go back to Winterfell.
Yeah.
Maybe something goes wrong, comes in, saves her. It's like, doesn't stay with her after that, but, just kind of saves her back one last time. It's like a moment like that. Plus, everyone kind of wanted to know, fans kind of wanted to know what happened to all the direwolves, I suppose, because it's like most of them we knew. It's like John's is over here, dead. It's like those fucking what's his fucks was dead at the Red Wedding, and so alright. So, and at the end of the episode, let me just read you my notes.
Yeah.
As I wrote down, because a lot of my notes I reword as I'm doing the show because they're gibberish, and it's just like I basically just write down what I'm thinking
in the moment.
In the moment, just so as I'm reading it back, I can understand and we can talk about it on the show. I wrote, and I always write where it is. So I have Daenerys, the North, King's Landing, Sam, so I know where we're talking about. All right, Serpents on the Sea. OMG. Euron is fucking nuts. Which I believe I wrote directly after the moment when he fucking slammed down on the... he rode the board down and, slammed on top of someone's fucking head like a hammer and, slammed their bodies everywhere. And he looked like the craziest fucking pirate I'd ever seen in my life.
I thought that's where they were going to end the episode. I thought that's where they're going to cut it.
Yeah, no, it's too typical of a cliffhanger, though.
Yeah.
I then wrote... I can't believe this fucking asshole beat all of them. Lasai. First moment of getting pissed off this season, I guess. Fuck me, sad face. And to make it worse, Theon turns out to be a fucking coward piece of shit when I thought I was beginning to like him again. Asshat. Well, there goes Daenerys' plan. Fuck me. And that last part was all in capitals. So that was more or less my moment by moment feelings of... do you want to tell me... Walk me through your kind of emotional, because this is the big moment, the first big moment of season 7 and the first defeat.
Yeah, it was the first big battle. It kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't really expecting it, and then this first time we saw Euron do stuff. So
do stuff other than talking,
and kill old men. So yeah, I wasn't I guess it makes sense story-wise for them to get the upper hand and sort of backtrack the Daenerys assault on King's Landing and stuff. But
we now know what his prize was, at least.
Yes, we do. The Myrcella's
mother
murderers.
Who was in charge of killing her daughter. Yeah, Myrcella. So makes sense. But yeah, I thought I was reading online because I wanted to know what other people's opinions were on this the scene, and like if people were angry like I was, like people like.
Is it because it was this water scene that didn't live up to your expectations?
No, I still believe there'll be more.
There'll be more.
But people were complaining about the editing, which I didn't have a problem with because I thought it was purposely edited sporadically, like fast-paced to kind of match the...
There was a couple of effects, I think some blood splatter that was a bit off.
Dodgy? Yeah. But I think the way they done it, like, non-typical... Because Game of Thrones has shot heaps of, like, clean fight scenes and stuff like that, with good choreography and stuff like that. So, but I believe it was just done to, like, show the, like... Because it was random... fucking out of nowhere. They're just chilling in a boat talking, like they're about to have like some weird like brother watch her sister fuck. I don't know what the fuck was going on. And then
spoiled it.
And then and then it's just like this fucking dude just comes flying out of nowhere and just people start dying left, right, and center. I'm just like, okay, well there goes the Sand Sisters. They all get killed by their own weapons and all this sort of shit. But I was watching this like, there's no way this motherfucker... There's no way he beats all of them. But I suppose this is because we hadn't really seen him fight or like understood his actual abilities. It's all been talk up until this moment. And now, at least, I know that he's kind of a crazy badass, I guess.
Yeah, like, they've built him up to be a credible threat.
Yes, because he charges in like a one-man fucking army. He leads the pack. Yeah. Just fucking takes everyone on
left, right, all the major...
crazy fucking plan. Also, his crew, like... I was reading online that... I think this must be from the books or something. But apparently the reason... Because you see in the episode, they're like cutting out the tongues of people. And all this sort of shit. Apparently his crew is made up of people that... like they capture, but they cut out their tongues so they can't like start a mutiny. But he just keeps them. Okay. But they can't do shit. They can never coordinate a mutiny against anyone because they can't talk. I'm like, that's kind of fucked up.
Messed
like,
up.
Yeah. So, yeah. And next episode we'll get to see Jon and Dany finally meet up, I suppose. Yeah. So.
Yeah, overall, I was disappointed Theon went out like a bitch as well.
It's funny because that was my initial reaction.
He was such a badass in that fight. He was like fighting off tons of people. He was doing
so well. Yeah, I felt bad because I read afterwards someone else's thing that I was talking about him being like suffering from PTSD and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Like. That's a good representation of him going from like being fine to like in a moment just kind of crashing, and he kind of turns back to his like stuttering like self. I mean, that all makes sense. However, in the moment, everyone out there was screaming at their TV set, "You fucking mother!" But also, to be fair, even though we're all screaming this, when you think about it logically, there was probably nothing he could do.
Yeah,
and. Probably if he charged at him, he probably would have just died. She probably would have died. So maybe it's smarter for him to just... Yeah, maybe he can, live another day, save her later kind of thing. Yeah. However, it was hard
stuck in the middle of the ocean, though.
Yeah, it was hard just to watch him stand there and, like, kind of just...
throw his sword down and jump overboard,
Jump overboard. You're just like, oh, you fucker little...
Theon.
Theon, why did you do that? Did you enjoy the episode this week?
Yeah, it was
Anything stand out to you? Any moments in particular you want to mention that we haven't gone over?
pretty much covered everything. Yeah.
And I'll ask you the question of the week.
Of every week.
The question of every week. Who do you think is going to end up on the throne?
Still think it's going to be Dany.
Still think it's going to be Dany. Yeah. Even after her shit old...
Come on, it's just a small setback.
A small setback. That was a lot of boats.
That was a lot of boats, but she's still got those
dragons.
Basically,
a lot of her commanders.
I think Lady Tyrell suggested that she doesn't stick to Tyrion's plan, which might eventuate later in the season. Just going to burn them all to the ground.
Burn them all fucking down.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
what about you?
I see no reason. I'm sticking to Littlefinger until anything.
Oh yeah, that's the other scene. John gave Littlefinger a piece of his mind.
Yeah, gave him. He's like, oh yeah, I love your. I forgot about this. I didn't write this down. Is the whole. But Littlefinger's basically like, got the hots for your sister.
No, I had the hots for your mum, your stepmom. Yeah,
I had the hots for your mum, and then I have the hots for your sister now. How's you feel? Fucking smash you, mate. But yeah, that was pretty good to see him get choked out there. I was like, why are you even mentioning this, Littlefinger? Like, are you just trying to rile him up before you go? Like, there's no point to any of this, really. You fucking weirdo fuck. I thought it was a good episode. I feel like there's still a lot, because knowing the amount of episodes we've got, which is such a small number.
Yeah,
there is a lot of this scenes, particularly like stuff with Arya, like spending 2 episodes kind of just doing nothing, more or less now. Like, where are we going? We're going up here. We're going over there. What do we do? It's like all this sort of shit. It's like, it doesn't feel necessary. Like, it feels like filling. Could be just get to the point. We don't have time to fuck around anymore. We've got fuck all episodes this season. Only 1 season left after this. Let's just get straight to the point.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought it was a good episode. I feel like I kind of expected this at least a few episodes of still arranging the pieces on the board until it kind of just goes possibly like full action for like, or more or less full action for a few episodes. I suppose I can kind of see coming. So. I feel eventually the shit just has to hit the fan, but not quite there. It was good to have that one big action scene towards the end of the episode, I suppose, as well, which is good to see. And I'm looking forward to next week's episode, or in a couple days, quite a bit. John and Dany finally meeting up. Can't wait to talk about it on time.
Maybe.
Next week. Possibly. Hopefully. Here on South of King's Landing, the Explosion Network's after show for Game of Thrones. Don't forget to give the video a like. Comment down below if you thought you would eat pies made up of stone flesh for $10.
That's a bit low.
Who do you think's gonna end up on the thrones? And subscribe for the channel. And there's things down there. You click on it takes you to the channel. There's heaps of other shows. There's so many shows that you can check out. It's amazing. It's amazing. Have a good time. Until next week. Ashley, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.